On page 155 of Chapter 4, Murphy Brown, Post-Feminism Personified, Bonnie Dow points out how in the show, when Murphy finds out she is pregnant, her co-workers step up to become the support system she does not have. While at first this is obnoxious to Murphy, and she wants them to stop acting like it is their business, it becomes increasingly clear that they are helpful in many aspects. The role of her co-workers transforms how single motherhood is seen. Murphy is incompetent, and so her support system picks up in the places she lacks. Dow writes on page 155 that almost everyone around Murphy, all men interestingly enough, is better at motherhood than she is. Dow continues further along the page, saying that when Murphy shows up at the office, it is Miles who tells her that she is not ready to come back. Later, Frank must show her how to hold her baby so that he will stop crying, prompting the following exchange: "Oh great, Frank, you've got better maternal instincts than I do." For Murphy, she benefits from having a support system there to help her through this, even if they can be condescending at times or act as if this impacts them more than Murphy, as seen with how Miles reacts to the news.
God, how could you do this to me? How could you do this to me?
Although Murphy Brown had her co-workers and roommate Eldon as a support system to help her through single motherhood, Amelia in the Babadook was not as lucky. Through the film, we watch as the stress from raising her son Sam alone begins to take a toll on her and her relationship with Sam's aunt, who had been her only form of support aside from the occasional watchful eye of her elderly neighbor. Instead of the typical support someone would receive after their husband dies, constantly people are telling Amelia to move on and stop grieving so she can be a good mother. However, they do not see how close she truly is with her son and what she is willing to do to let him be who he is. In Struggling for Recognition: Intensive Mothering's Practical Effects, authors Jason Middleton and Meredith A. Bach write on page 215 that the teachers from Sam's school and state social workers are depicted through Amelia's perspective as lacking any understanding or empathy. Rather than helpful, they are oppressive and potentially threatening toward her relationship with Sam. Something that has really stood out about this film to me is the juxtaposition we see from the start of the film, where Amelia is checking her closet and under his bed for monsters, reading him a bedtime story twice, and even going as far as to yell at teachers rather than question her son's obsession with building and using weapons, to when the Babadook is influencing her and every little thing her son does starts to tick her off and lead to yelling, verbal abuse, and even violent acts. Amelia's life motivations and actions are all influenced by her son to the point it is impacting her personal happiness, job, and relationships with family and friends. Something that, as Ella Taylor writes, is something mothers sometimes feel. These differences do not take away from the experience of the mother in either story. When you put the two stories side by side, you see the differing perspectives on family and support. When people interfere with Murphy and how she is going about her pregnancy, the interference is welcome and tends to be a good thing. But for Amelia, it makes her feel as if everyone that tries to help thinks she is incapable or unfit to be a mother, sees as people trying to strip her of her motherly duties. While much of these differences can be narrowed down to the differences of genre, it is still eye-opening to see the different perspectives on the same question.